So I actually think there are a lot of people that I'm not the only one that's bought $1 billion of Bitcoin. I'm the only one that's been in a position to announce it. And I've had a lot of reasons to announce it, right? I think that over the next 4 years, you'll see more. I actually think there's a huge amount of money in the crypto ecosystem right now, trading on crypto exchanges, trading in crypto tokens, trading in cryptocurrencies like stablecoins. And I think that over time, a lot of that capital will flow into Bitcoin because there's no other place for it to flow. So as people lose faith in crypto exchanges and they lose faith in other crypto networks and they lose faith in other cryptocurrencies, they're not going to go back to the fiat system. They're going to flow into Bitcoin, and the meltdown of crypto will be a melt up of Bitcoin. And so that'll be an interesting time period. And I think that'll be the next wave. It'll be a melt up of Bitcoin and a meltdown of crypto. And then the wave after that will be an emergence of Bitcoin as the highest form of property, right? And I would say the first investable commodity.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is on the cusp of another bull market cycle, and investors are waiting in anticipation, is the main message out from MicroStrategy's founder and former CEO, Michael Saylor, in his most recent interview. Saylor believes that over time, Bitcoin is going to a whopping $10 million. However, he poses a critical question. If Bitcoin skyrockets, what about the others who might be left behind? He argues that a steadier pace is more beneficial for the greater good rather than a frantic climb that could ultimately disenfranchise many. Saylor also answers a question posed by many. Where are all the other Michael Saylors and institutional investors if Bitcoin is as revolutionary as he believes? Saylor breaks down the cautious approach of institutions and affluent individuals. The capital isn't pouring in like an avalanche, instead there's a measured entry into the market. He underlines the importance of a gradual growth and sustainable adoption for Bitcoin. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where we hear Saylor's final words on the future of Bitcoin and why a measured approach is the key to widespread success and adoption. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
There is no rational argument for investing in soybeans, corn, oil, raw natural gas, silver, copper, gold, platinum, palladium, or diamonds. Like whatever it is, it's a commodity. I don't think there's any intelligent investor who believes that you should invest in any of those commodities. I don't think you can create a theoretical argument for investing in any of them. And the reason why is, in the beginning of my business career, we had I worked for DuPont for a while, and we built models. And we built models to predict the profitability of every DuPont business, lycra and nylon and titanium dioxide and all the polymers and the freons and the chemicals. And there was one dirty word at DuPont. And you know what the dirtiest word was? Commodity. Like, we do not want to be commoditized or commodified. We don't want to sell commodity. Specialty. Differentiated specialty was the good word. Like, this was good, that was awful.
Yeah.
And the reason that was awful was anybody can make a commodity. You see? Mm-hmm. Anybody can make a commodity. That's the definition of commodity, right? And so there aren't any mainstream investors that are intelligent invested in commodities. They might invest in the company that produces the oil in the country, and then it only works if they form a cartel. If you have it only works when I form a cartel or I get a monopoly on producing the commodity.
De Beer is another one, famous one.
If I have a diamond cartel and oil cartel, or I produce natural gas, but you know how it works? I'm the only one with a pipeline, and then I pay someone to protest the other pipeline because I don't want two pipelines. because if there's two pipelines, my price is going to zero, or my profit's going to zero.
Yeah.
So the commodity business is, in essence, a political business that revolves around creating cartels and creating tariffs and creating restraints of trade. And if you're fortunate enough to do that, maybe you make money in the business of producing it.
Yeah.
But if I offered you $1 billion of soybeans, or $1 billion of natural gas, or $1 billion of gold, or $1 billion of silver in that warehouse, and said, do you want to hold it for 100 years? If you thought about it, you'd realize it's the dumbest thing you could possibly imagine.
Right.
So along comes Bitcoin, and what do people think, right? In the mainstream, I'm talking about the people with hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars that actually got rich by being intelligent investors. They all learned that you get poor by investing in commodities.
Yeah.
Okay? So first of all, they're not investing in Bitcoin because they're deniers. It's tulip bulbs and it's a scam. The Peter Schiffs of the world. If they think that, they're not going to invest. So then they migrate to skeptics. It's really good something, but it's too good and the government will ban it.
Blockchain, not Bitcoin.
So they're not going to invest in that because it's too good to be true, and the government will ban it, and they don't invest in. They didn't get rich investing in things the government was against.
Yeah.
So then it has to go to stage 3. They're traders or they're investors, and it's an asset.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Because you don't really want them to do it that fast. Right now, Bitcoin is, you can make an argument. People can adjust to it at a certain rate. That rate over the past 3 years has been Bitcoin growing 50% a year. And maybe it can grow a $500 billion entity that kind of can grow at that rate. If it went any faster, you start shredding reality and tearing the fabric of reality.
Yeah.
And you could argue that,
There's a lot of Bitcoiners who wish for that, by the way. They want that to happen.
Bitcoin at 27,000 today, after the crypto meltdown, is probably good, because if Bitcoin was 250,000 right now, after the crypto meltdown, instead of all the regulators and all the politicians in the world attacking every crypto exchange, every other cryptocurrency, every other crypto token, and leaving Bitcoin alone, maybe people would be worried about Bitcoin. So the one word conspicuously absent from all of the regulatory attacks in the crypto industry is Bitcoin. Okay?
Yep.
We're not a geopolitical threat. We're not a status quo threat, right? You know, it's good for us to wait and allow that to form in its own rate, even though you're impatient sometime. Everyone that's actually done the work to understand Bitcoin is able to buy Bitcoin right now for 27,000 instead of 270,000. And if the world was rational, it's like I said, when the FDIC embraces Bitcoin and lets banks hold Bitcoin, everybody will want it. No one will want to sell it. You won't be able to afford it.
Right.
Right? And so you don't want them to get too rational too soon, because Bitcoin, let's play a little thought experiment. People with a lot more money than you listen to this podcast, and tomorrow they actually figure it out and they buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin goes to 10 million a coin. There are actually Bitcoiners that aren't all in.
What?
There are Bitcoiners that aren't.
No.
There are some Bitcoiners that have some of their wealth in other places. They're somewhat diversified. So if you're all in on Bitcoin and people get rational and it goes to the moon, good for you.
Yeah.
But what about everybody else that you've been talking to and everyone you hope to help, and it's too late for them, and you've created, you don't want 1% of the world to have everything and everyone else disenfranchised, and now your friends and your family are just looking for a handout from you.
Yeah.
And
I already set aside 10% for them. I figured that would happen.
And so ultimately, like, MicroStrategy bought Bitcoin at 10,000, and then we bought it at 15 and 20 and 25 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60,000, and we'll keep buying. I'm just totally fine with it going up to 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. I want to keep acquiring, and I'm hoping that I have 100 more Bitcoin buys between here and 1 million.
Yeah.
because otherwise it's just like, okay, Google just bought $100 billion worth of Bitcoin and you're all priced out of the market, and Google has it there. You like it. So on one hand, we lament that there aren't more. On the other hand, it's like too much speed, and you're just going to rip the wings off the airplane. And the most morally sound, politically sound, economically sound way for this to evolve is for it to continue to grow at a brisk pace with some volatility back and forth, and just let the message get out and give us time. Satoshi said, we don't want WikiLeaks to take Bitcoin. We're not ready for that. We're not ready for that degree of success yet. Give us a bit of time.
So there's Michael Saylor spilling the beans on Bitcoin, from the thrilling prospect of it hitting a mind-blowing $10 million to the thoughtful perspective of the best case scenario for most investors being price action being slow. Saylor's argument has a lot of merit. Saylor's really got us thinking. We don't want Bitcoin to leave anyone behind, do we? He's all for pacing ourselves, and it's clear that this race is not a 100-meter dash but a marathon. And where's all the big money? Turns out they're not diving in headfirst but tiptoeing into the Bitcoin pool. Saylor cracked open the why behind the careful moves of the heavy hitters. Anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think the best case is for Bitcoin to slowly adopt and move slowly upwards? Let me know what you think. Hope you all enjoyed today's video and that provided you with some value. I'll see you all in the next one, and as always, all the best.